It's time for Arabs of the world, Muslims of the world, to wake up to how America punishes hate crime and hate speech. You want to know how America really does it? We do it in a sneaky way. Let me give you an example. This isn't about hate speech. This is an example of how we operate. A lot of us in America felt O.J. Simpson, the former football star, was guilty of murder. But we also feel, like I feel, that the trial was botched and he got away with murder. So, the father of one of the victims, O.J.'s former wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, the father sued O.J. in a civil court and won enough money to ruin O.J.'s life. Al Capone, big gangster. He was murdering people all over America. This guy was the biggest criminal, and we couldn't stop him. How did we stop him? Tax evasion. So he went to prison for not paying taxes on all the money he stole from people. So that's kind of how it works in America. If you want to get somebody, you can't always get them the way you think you want to get them. So we got free speech in America. So if somebody uses free speech to punish you, how do you get them back? Well, you can't put them in jail, but you can sue them in a civil court. Here's an example. There's a guy named Joe Francis. This is in the news right now in America. Joe Francis started a video series called Girls Gone Wild. Really unethical situation. He made tons of money. I think he's worth $150 million. He went to a casino in Vegas owned by Steve Wynn, and he lost $2 million at the tables. So instead of paying back Steve Wynn the money he owed, he started telling people around that Steve Wynn was threatening to kill him and spreading the word that Steve Wynn was a real thug. And Steve Wynn is not a thug. One of my best friends is really good friends with Steve Wynn and says he's the kindest gentleman you ever met in your life. A true gentleman. So Steve Wynn sues Joe Francis and wins millions. And then the jury is so angry that they up the amount that Steve gets. At this point, it could grow, but Joe Francis now owes Steve Wynn $40 million for defamation. So you could go around talking smack, but if it's not true and it's damaging, you can be sued in a civil court for defamation. Now, families have gotten together here in America and sued Iran in absentia for 9/11 and won because Iran never showed up to answer the claim. But why can't a group of Muslims get together, a group of people get together, and file a defamation lawsuit on behalf of their client, deceased client, Prophet Muhammad? So why doesn't a group of Muslims get together and sue the filmmakers of these films, Innocence of Muslims, and sue this guy for everything he's worth for damaging the good name of Prophet Muhammad? And the truth be told, in a way, this movie didn't really damage the good name, in my opinion, of Prophet Muhammad. There was only one group of people who damaged the good name of Prophet Muhammad, in my opinion, and that is the protesters who got violent. And they damaged the good name of Islam, and they damaged the good name of every peaceful Muslim alive. So as people were out there protesting down with America and burning American flags, most of them do not realize that their greatest victim of their violence is Islam and peaceful Muslims all over the world. That aside, I just want you to know that I think if you look at how Americans deal with things, you say Americans are just known for their litigation, for suing people. And how come nobody has gotten sued? There are people going crazy and throwing things and lighting fires. Nobody feels sorry for you. When you light fires and you go crazy and shout down with America, it makes the world, the Western world, just disgusted and not want to help. If you're polite and you're hurt and you address your plea to the world in a reasonable way, then people will get on your side. It works that way for everything. If you're unhappy with service at a restaurant and you scream and go crazy, they might throw you out the door. If you cry and say, oh, my soup's too cold and there's a mouse in my cheeseburger, can you help me? If you're a Muslim, be honest, and you were sitting in a room with the actress that starred in that movie, Innocence of Muslims, what would you say to her? Think about it. What would you say to her? You're standing there with the actress who starred in that movie. Okay? Now, just so you know, that actress is suing the people that made that movie because she was tricked into doing that movie. She had no idea it had anything to do with Muslims. So now how would you treat her and what would you say to her? She's a victim too. Not only is she an innocent victim, but there are a lot of people who don't know her and see that movie and think she's complicit. People say, well, Americans did this film. They starred in this film. How can you blame an American who starred in this movie if she was tricked into this movie? You don't know that. See, that's the thing. When we start condemning people, we don't know the true story, the whole story. And I probably don't even know the whole story, and I think I know. That's dangerous. You know, Mark Twain said, it isn't what you don't know that hurts you. It's what you do know that ain't so. One more thing about America. You think America should stop that film, The Innocence of Muslims? America can't even stop the Westboro Baptist Church from showing up to people's funerals, the funerals of American soldiers who died defending our country, the most patriotic humans alive on this country. We can't stop the Westboro Baptist Church from showing up at their funerals while their families are grieving and holding up signs saying that God killed their children. God killed their children because of America's soft stance on homosexuality. It's so infuriating. You know, I see some Muslims, a very small minority of Muslims out there lighting things on fire and going crazy. Most of the core of my being wants to walk up to somebody holding a sign, knowing that this guy's holding signs so the families of the people, their kids who died, are there to see this sign, them protesting the funeral of your dead son who fought in battle. I want to wring these people's necks. I want to rip their sign in half and punch them in the face. I do. I'm not going to do it, but I want to. But that's not what America's about. America's about filing a defamation lawsuit and changing the legislation. So instead of being 300 feet from the funeral, they have to be 1,000 feet from the funeral. If we can't stop the Westboro Baptist Church, how in the world are we going to stop, even though we'd like to? How in the world are we going to stop the Innocence of Muslims movie? Or anything bad about Muslims or Christians or Jews or anybody anywhere? If you want justice, take him to court. You know? Do like Fred Wynn did. Anyway, let me know what you think.